Let's go, let's go. All right, all right. Hello, everyone. Wow. Entering here and seeing your perfect face. Nice. Okay, someone is. Okay, perfect. Yes, thank you so much for being here and for a little bit of patience because we got a little bit of, you see, corporate setting, and Giuliani has some new technologies making her being a professional presenter, I would say. Well, you know that, yeah, technical settings are the most sensitive ones sometimes, but we have it working. And welcome to week number 3, which is about team growth, which is about funders growth. And I think that this week we have amazing topic to kind of get it going with your strategies, tactics, methodologies, etc., etc. Um, okay. All right. So, do you hear me? Everyone can hear me. Everyone can see me, right? So everything is good. Okay. So it's just that there was a setting. All right. So, I'm happy to present you the speaker of today, Giuliani Lopez, who is working for big corporations. And Giuliani, you will tell us what we can share here.
Yeah.
But with Giuliani, we have been working. I have been working in female founders, and I think that Giuliani is the go-to person regarding HR questions, onboarding, offboarding, diversity matters. And with this being said, I think that overall the workshop today is like a blend of everything. So, Giuliani, the floor is yours. And also, in case you have any questions, everyone, you can use the chat or just, I think, raise the hand and we will just moderate it. All right,
Yes.
Giuliani,
Thank you so much,
floor is yours.
Irina. It's super nice to see you all. I'm trying to make sure that I see all the faces that are open here. Irina very kindly invited me for the session, and because I'm so excited about talking and building stuff from scratch, I accepted it. And yes, so a little bit about myself. I worked with Irina at Female Founders, and at Female Founders, let's say I built the HR department because that was the beginning of it. They were growing in the moment that I joined, and that's how I also learn a lot. Learn by doing, because I'm originally a lawyer. I came to Austria to do a master's degree in peace and conflict studies, and then I discovered diversity, equity, and inclusion, and human resources and startups, and I entered and navigated this space. And nowadays, for many different reasons, I work in a big corporate, but it feels a little bit like a startup work sometimes with specific topics of diversity, equity, inclusion, making sure the employee experience is the best, is the most inclusive, the most equitable, and the most diverse as well. And yes, so I like to engage. So if you have a question, please, yes, open the mic, talk to me. It's much more interesting like this. And I prepare a presentation. I told Irina that for me, it makes much more sense that I give some input, but I stop at some point and I can engage with you more freely, talking, engaging with your questions, and also I brought some templates for us to look together, so I can offer you something very concrete, and you can leave here with something that you can already use. Yes, that's the idea for today. So if there are no questions for this, I will then start my presentation, and I hope this will work as expected.
Yeah,
Let's
let's see that.
hope
I
so.
think everything will be, yep, it's loading.
Yes. And now
Uh-huh.
I will present it. How does it look like?
Yeah, we see the speaker's note.
Okay.
So
So we
maybe
are
you need
present
to,
normally.
yeah,
Just like that.
yeah.
Okay.
I think that, yeah, exactly. Can you just try to click and then I think we'll, yeah, perfect. Oh, good.
Yes. Okay.
Nice.
So everyone can see my presentation? No problem? Yeah. Okay. So when Irina invited me, I was thinking, okay, what am I going to talk about? How I'm going to approach this topic? And I approached this topic with the idea of getting bigger. So now maybe you are a very small company or one founder company, maybe because Irina told me a little bit about the context, and you were thinking about how I'm going from here to something bigger. And that is the title of my presentation, Getting Bigger. And to start this presentation, I brought example because I do like examples. And probably all of you heard about NVIDIA. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly right now, but it's very often in the news, especially for good reasons mostly, because their worth it's crazy. It's so much money that it's as valuable as the German economy. And if you were here in Europe, I don't know where are you based right now, but I'm sitting in Austria, so Germany is not so far, so I can have a very clear comparison how this works. And I brought NVIDIA because they are so big, they are so valuable, but they started very small. They started with three founders, 200 years in 1993, and with the idea of establishing a company that is specialized in graphics chips and personal computers. So they started as small, and their growth is exponential. Let's use this word here, because what you can see from 1993 to 2025, they went from 3 employees to 43 employees in 1996 to 36,000 employees in 2025. And all this data is available online. I put all the links for the information that I gathered here for you, and I wanted to bring this idea because sometimes it feels a little bit overwhelming. It's like, okay, they are so big, they are so valuable right now, but how they did this process. And that's what I'm here to talk with you. How we are going to start hiring, start growing, right? The companies and startups. So the agenda for today is hopefully very basic. The decision to hire. I'm going to talk about this, have this as a foundation. And within this main topic, I would like to talk about understanding what is missing in your team. Why should you hire? Who should you hire? Who to hire specifically? Who is this person? What is the title that you're looking for? Let's call it like this. Who are your first hires or should be your first hires? I would also like to talk about how to not to sell your product, but to sell your company to candidates, because sometimes we're so focused in selling our product that we forget that there is another part that we also have to do. And it's also a question that I see a lot is people considering, okay, but who are the people? Maybe it's not on LinkedIn. I have to be. Maybe I have to look for people in other places. So I want to also to talk a little bit about that. And of course, because this is, let's say, my jam, I would also like to talk about building HR. And at the end, as I told you, I'm happy to stop the presentation and also use the templates to have the conversation with you to be even more specific. So that's the agenda for the next hour. And I would like to, continue this conversation saying how to get there, how to be the new NVIDIA, or how to grow the company in this exponential way. The first thing that for me is very, very, very important is understand what is missing. And for this next section of this presentation, I would like to invite you to start reflecting. So if you can, I don't know if you're paying attention, but if you're not, please start paying attention now, because I will ask you to do a little exercise. So when we're talking about founders, usually founders do everything. They have every role in the company, and you know that. And I found this very interesting table that maybe you have stumbled upon. I'm not going to focus on this, but I highly recommend that maybe you take this table and also the article to look into this, to reflect what is your position in the company, how do you see yourself, what are the roles that you are doing right now, and what are the roles maybe that you other person should be doing. So this is just, let's say, an introduction of the topic that founders have a lot of roles. Founders do everything, but sometimes it's interesting to start reflecting of what you're doing and what you will be doing and what is the real focus. But because I like to get really concrete, I want you to leave this session feeling that you have concrete tools for yourself. I want to talk about tasks, not roles right now.
Ju, 1 second. You
Yeah.
have like this Zoom app
Oh,
that
okay.
Zoom
hmm
AUS. Can you just hide, click hide because it covers the.
Sorry.
Yep,
Yeah,
perfect.
I couldn't. I didn't pay attention. Thank you. So they're the founder's tasks. And I don't know if you have thought about that before. So what are the tasks that you're really doing? If not, this is the moment that I'll like to ask you. So I'm going to go through different slides, specifying the tasks that are probably very likely part of your work. And I would like you to reflect, are those things on my table? Are things on someone else's tables? Or are these things are in no one's table and maybe they should be? So please do this exercise with me. And we're going to start with product and technology. So here we have some tasks. Define the problem, the vision, the value proposition of your company. Design and build the MVP. Test and iterate based on user feedback. Manage technical development if technical founder, if you are a technical founder. Ensure product quality and scalability. Are those tasks on your plate? Customer discovery and sales. Identify and interview potential customers. Generate first leads manually, for example, with cold outreach, demo calls, etc. Close the sales. Build relationships with early adopters and reference customers. Manage onboarding and customer support directly. Are those things some things that are already on your table? Is something that you're already doing? Marketing and growth. Create and test the go-to market strategy. Build a website, pitch decks, and basic marketing materials. Well, it's very easy with Canva, but of course, sometimes it's also nice to have a professional doing it. Run first marketing experiments like email, social media content, ads. Gather data to understand user acquisition and retention. We also have, besides marketing, we also have fundraising and finance. That is one of the big responsibilities of founders. Prepare financial model, budget, and pitch that. Meet and pitch to angel investors or seed funds. Manage company bank accounts, cash flow, and runway. Handle early accounting and legal paperwork, for example, incorporation contracts, etc. We also have operations and HR. Maybe even with a small company, this is something that is already happening. There's already conversations about that. For example, setting up company structures and tools, handle contracts, payroll, recruit first employees or freelancers, onboard and manage team members directly, define the initial company culture and ways of working. Strategy and partnerships usually also very focused on the founders, not only in the beginning, but also in the later stages of the company. Define business model and long-term roadmap. Identify key partners or distribution channels. Build relationships with accelerators, mentors, corporate partners, and negotiate first commercial or tech partnerships. And last but not least, leadership and culture. Define the mission, vision, and values. Communicate the goals and progress of the company transparently. Create early rituals, for example, stand-ups, retrospectives, feedbacks, a loop. Model the company culture through behavior and decision making. So I went through, I think, 7 slides. There's a lot that if you think about in a company, in a bigger company, this is done by different people, right? But usually all these things are on the top, on the table of the founder. And why I ask you to reflect, because who you hire next might depend on the things that you are doing, the things that you're not doing, the things that you like doing, and the things that you don't like doing. So the exercise I would like you to do with me, if you have a paper, if you have a like an easy way to build this very easy table for yourself, I would like you to pick 3 tasks that I mentioned just before. 3 tasks. One should be on the I have the skills to do this task. The other one should be in the table I enjoy doing this task. Take something different, even though you have the skills. And the third is I don't have the skills, I don't enjoy doing it. And see where you position this task. Do you spend 0 to 10 hours doing this task right now as a founder? Do you spend 11 to 12 hours, 11 to 20 hours doing this task right now? Or you spend more than 21 hours doing this task right now? So I will give you a minute to do this. Just pick 3. You don't need to go all the way with this table. So you're almost done? Give me a sign, please, when you're done. And I would love to hear from 3 of you. I think we have enough people. What are the tasks and where they are placed?
We have 2 chat answers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone, Ross or Amina, you want to comment?
Yeah, Amina, go ahead.
Good. So I'll start with I enjoy doing. I spent more than 21 hours doing it. This is fundraising.
Okay.
I love presenting my startup project, pitching it, and convincing people why it's has potential. And second thing is marketing. I have the skills. I spent 11 to 20 hours doing it. I have the skills. And another thing I do not have the skills or enjoy doing is the operations. And I spend 0 to 10 hours doing it.
Can you give me an example of a task within operations that you don't like or don't enjoy doing?
Well, I guess hiring people and systemizing everything. And I'm usually a very empathetic person, and it's difficult for me to hire like people. I don't think I have those skills. Yeah, and this operation systemizing everything, putting everything into one kind of I say template and everything. It's kind of like I like to be creative and I don't like to do it.
Okay, perfect. That's I like the reflection. That's the exercise is to reflect and to be honest about. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Who else is there that can share?
I can go ahead. I have the skills to research and develop the product. I enjoy doing it. I'm doing it more than 21 hours. I enjoy doing operations in contrast to Amina, like planning everything using our own frameworks, including everyone in the team, hearing what they think, and all these things. And I really don't enjoy, even though I could be really good at it, was even a CMO on big corporations. I hate doing marketing, and I'm not doing it at all.
Okay. Thank you for the honesty. And maybe you can share support Amina with the operations in a talk maybe. Thank you for sharing. One more person I would love to hear. Everyone is shy today. I see. I just joined trying to understand the discussion. Okay, thank you for also that. No problem. So the discussion, we have what we are doing. I just listed a lot of tasks and roles that RBIs have, that founders have in their world. So here is for you who just joined. I just went through this very long list of things that founders have to do. And the exercise is to understand which of those tasks is in which quadrant of this table. That was the exercise. So here I just did a very quick exercise for you to reflect. And why I want you to reflect on that, because sometimes people are very focused on hiring. We're going to talk about this in a minute. The first, the engineer. This is the engineer, the software engineer that is going to solve all my technical problems and this kind of things. But sometimes the first hire will be someone who will take off your plate something that you really don't like doing, so you will focus on the things that you really like doing, so you can drive the company forward, right? And I'm not saying, well, the whole table. I'm not saying that we don't need to focus on the product that you need to develop. Please don't get me wrong. But I'm saying that sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves and why and where we are spending our time. And also, if I'm being very careful as well, how we make sure that we keep sustainable being a founder, that we're not burning out because we are just like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I hate doing this, but I really need that. So sometimes the first hire is not the one that you're going to, Google and say, oh, should be my first hire. But it's your first hire. It's hidden somewhere here where you're spending more than 21 hours and you really don't have the skills and you really don't like it. So that's the message of this table. And I really, really recommend as a homework that you really take this. I'm going to share the presentation, of course, that you really take this and you really go and you specify every single task and do this exercise. Maybe you're going to take 10 minutes, but then you have something concrete that you can look at and really reflect. But of course, I understand maybe you're curious to hear how other companies went through this growth process. So I also brought this. But first, do you have any questions regarding this and why I brought this for you? No, silence.
Just a comment that's a really good exercise to reflect on what you're doing and whether the time you spend in each category really gives you like a valuable feedback at this moment of your startup building. So I think that's a good point for reflection, definitely. Thank you for that.
Amazing. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. So I'm glad. Enjoy. Irina can keep me posted about how it's going for you. But now, as I said, I also want to bring some, let's say, gossip about how other companies did. Here is instructions that you can use if you don't know exactly how you're going to do this, if you don't know how much time you spend. Here are some instructions for you to use. You can color block your calendar. You can color code your calendar to make sure how much time you're using in certain tasks. But I'm very confident that founders of especially AI companies can figure out a way to look at this and make the best of it. So what are the insights that I want to share with you today? As I spoiled for you, most of the companies, when they hire, they are hiring an engineer. This is 70% of the companies that were interviewed for this exercise. You can check the post about it. The link it's below. What is also interesting for me here, if we really look at this graph, we see 70% engineer, 10% customer success. So it's a really far away percentage. But we still have a subject matter here, a recruiting specialist, so a person that will will be responsible solely for this, a data scientist, depending on and a designer, because for some companies this is really relevant. It's going to stand out as well. But by far, engineer. That's how they started. And then you go to the next first 3 hires. What happens? Engineers still the biggest 60%. Customer success doesn't change, it's still 10%, but designer jumps for 10%. So we can see that it's a quite interesting, let's say, composition that we have. And then for me, it's also interesting to see that data scientist becomes 1%, recruiting becomes 1%. We have GTM growth 3%, subject matter 5%, sales 5%, PM 5%. Yes, Ivan?
Just a very quick question, because I'm probably that's our weakest point, but we ran a round of customer interviews and surveys in order to understand whether the idea of the concept that we are embedding into a product is truly understandable by our target audience. And we figured out that the way we position it is sometimes hard to understand to the target audience we used for those customer interviews. And I'm very surprised to see that there is no product role either of the slides. Like go-to-market growth, I think inherits that there is already some proper product line built up and embedded, like in any way you market it. So yeah, what's your input? What your input could be on that point? So
okay, so if I understood right, what you're questioning is why a certain specific project owner is not here. Maybe the answer is because it was in the founding team.
I see. Okay.
And this is the very interesting part. We cannot, and that's why I did the exercise before talking about this, because I want you to compare yourself to what you have right now and not to other companies. Because here we don't know the composition of the founding teams. Of course, you can read and get more details on the resources that I shared. But most of the time in the founding team, there are certain things that will be enough for the beginning. And then that's why there's so many people in the, I want one engineer and then I hire a design, because all the rest is already in the founding team. And maybe that's not the reality for maybe you, or maybe the reality for many of the other colleagues who are here. So that would be my
that totally makes sense. Yeah.
And then this exercise, so this source that I use, they were from the first 3 hires to the 10 first hires. And what you can see here in the first 10 hires is that you already have a company, really. Like if you really see what is there, you basically have a very microcosmos of a company. What is super interesting to see as well. But the engineer is still there by far the most sought after, let's call it this. But as you can see here, if I can make a nice comparison, what we didn't have sales in the first one, right? This was not something that was a topic, probably because the founder was, still in the beginning, still taking this role. In the second, sales is 5%, and then for the first 10 hires, sale becomes the second as 10%. So this becomes very important, of course, because you have to make money. You have to put your product out there. And I'm very curious, just as a comment, because I thought it was very interesting. You have a chief of staff already having, in the first 10 hires. For me, that's quite interesting have a chief of staff in the beginning already. Any comments, curiosities, anything that sparkle you looking at it? Thank you, Ivan, for your participation.
Yes. Hi, Julian. Can you hear me?
Yes. Ulises?
Yeah, I'm literally doing paperwork in a government office in Mexico. That's why I don't turn on the camera. So I hope
No
there's not
problem, no problem.
too much background noise. But I wanted to ask you because I just posted a CTO position on LinkedIn, but I don't know if I'm having my thoughts straight because I feel like I'm waiting in to see if I'm gonna get founded to take this decision. Let me tell you why. I'm a commercial founder and I pushed myself to the product development. And at some point, I thought that I was not going to be able to take it to a production level, but now I just figured out that I might take it to production level actually in 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm considering very deeply if I really need a CTO or I should like a equity CTO, or should I just wait to get founded and hire someone? So and I don't even know if that will be my first hire actually. So I'm kind of confused.
Well, I don't have, of course, the answer for your specific situation because it's hard with knowing more details. But maybe in the continuation of the presentation, we're going to arrive a little bit more on this topic. So if that's okay, I would park it just for a minute so we can continue, and then I bring this question back to the conversation. Is that okay?
It's perfect. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. Nice. Any other comments here?
Sorry, still
on the
can't
graph?
understand, even in this round, how could it not be a product manager, product lead role at all, which really caught my eye. So just because I
To
understand, like
confirm
on the
this.
initial stages, that makes sense that the founders can make up and like wear that hat and play that role. But at this stage, I would suppose somebody take care of the way the product is shaped and repositioned, and maybe analysts could somehow partially do this role. But yeah,
the PM stands for that, if I'm not mistaken. And I would ask.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
Can you hear me?
What did
I
you
say
say?
like the PM maybe is the product or
go to
project
market. Yeah.
And I would also like to ask, like, this is, I assume, for some SaaS or B2B company, because, for example, if you're going for B2C, you won't need as much sales, as much as GTM and growth, I guess.
Yeah. So those companies are very varied, to be honest. So I don't want, it's just a curiosity. I don't want you to take this as a reality. I highly recommend that you read the article to see what they are going on. It was an interview. I think he interviewed 100 founders from very different companies, like big, like very, very big, and others just big. Let's call it this. And I understand that here in this round, there are founders that are from very different topics, but also like deep tech, for example. And I don't know if deep tech was one of the experiences here in this round. So as I said, take it as a curiosity, but don't copy and paste because that's not the exercise. Very well. So the next one that I would like to talk about is, if you do this exercise, if you took time to reflect, what is missing, what you don't like to do, what would be the next step for your company, I would like to tell you, yes, your product you need to sell, and customers here means not just customers as people, but also business. So I'm talking customers in general, but you also have to sell the company to the potential candidates. And why do I say that? Because Google sell itself, right? We know that. We don't need to convince a lot of people to sell, okay, you have to. They have a lot of people going and applying for that positions. But this is not a reality for a small startup. And this is just the way it is. So we need to do more. We need to be a little bit more proactive. And here are some things that it might be very obvious right now, but if you don't do, this is going to be missing. At least that's my perception. So one thing that you're probably you inspire people with, selling your idea, selling your solution for a problem. So why not inspire the potential candidates with your mission, the mission that you have? It's a very similar pitch almost to the ones that you're doing to the funds and something like that. But the reality is people will not come for the money, because now probably you don't have the money to give as much. They will come for something that they believe, that they are starting from scratch, they are supporting you. So this is something that is going to make a difference. The other thing is, I think I personally believe this is the best way to start any type of relationship, is defining how you work and having very clear expectations. So even before you start looking for someone, define for yourself which type of culture, which type of company do you want to build. Do you want a company that it's okay to scream with other people and be pissed, and throw things because that's how you feel comfortable? Or do you want a company that, okay, there's more professionalism and we are talking eye level here and there are certain expectations? And so define which type of company do you want so you can sell this idea to the people that you want to hire. I personally would tell you, please, respect, ownership, no toxic behavior. Those are the things that attract more people. And I also believe that most people also want that. And as a caveat, sometimes when we don't have a lot of money, we try to propose certain deals to people. For example, unpaid work for a little bit, and then we see how it goes. Please don't go there. It doesn't pay off at the end. You're gonna have more problems then. So for let's say previous experiences that what I've seen, avoid doing that as well. Another thing is about, you're selling the mission. You're selling maybe something that is not reality right now. So when you're looking for people, it's really good if you look for people that understand this reality. So if you take let's say, because I work in a corporate, if you take a person that worked in a corporate for 25 years, that is very used to a certain type of stability, and you want to convince them to come to your startup, maybe they are serious about joining and having this changing their career, but you have to check if they understand what comes with it. So be very honest about the uncertainty, the volatility, because this is part of the deal in a startup, and look for people that can drive on this environment, because those will be the people that will stick with you at the end. And of course, I think that's very important. Please don't oversell. So if you are talking to someone and saying, look, this is the deal right now, but in the next 6 months, you're going to become VP. Can you really promise this? Can you really promise something so, big in 6 months, even though you don't know how the person is going to perform? So talk about the reality of today. Be very clear what the person can expect. And then I think this is the best hire that you can have. A person who knows the expectations, that is going to stick with you, understanding the reality. So those are, let's say, my contribution to the conversation. But I would like to hear how this resonates or not with you right now. Please feel free to engage. Yeah.
From my side, I was not expecting this no unpaid work, because I heard that in US, especially, that's how the startups work. So I heard that people are sleeping in the office and that's how they succeed. You hear all this Silicon Valley startup success culture. So in Europe, and we are not that much used to unpaid work, but I think in US it's a part of the game, right?
So yes, if you are in maybe as a founder, or if you have a connection with the founder and if you're willing to do that thing. But if you are hiring someone, if you're looking for someone and you say, oh, work for me for free for 3 months and soon I have money to pay you, I would be a little bit cautious with this proposition. Also because, as you said, we have different legal environments here in Europe. So I would not want to find myself in a discussion, in court, because certain things that I agree in good faith was taken and the person was frustrated and believed that, I was promising more or something like that. So my experience is that it can work, but it can bring a lot of frustration as well to the person who is not getting paid for doing the work.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think it usually happens for overtime. So they ask people to work like 10 hours, 11 hours a day, and they still get the same money. I think that's more or less the model.
Yes. So, for example, here in Austria, they have what you call all-in contract. So you get a certain amount, and all the over hours are included in this contract, right? This is the format that we have here. There are a lot of companies that use this, but usually they pay you a little bit more because the over hours are already there. But I would say, if this is expected, if over hours are expected because you're in the beginning, there's so much to do, make this clear. Is the person buying into this? If they are, put it in a document, say, yes, over hours are included in this contract, and this is part of the next 2 years, for example, and this is going to be revised. So for me, the message is be clear and avoid the unpaid work. When I mean unpaid work, it's like pay zero. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, clear. Thanks.
Ivan.
A quick one for me this time. I think this leads us to a question whether you are going to cover any strategy as to how to split the equity and how to build basically the employment contract, so that imagine you have some budget, but it's obviously limited at this stage. So you pretend to pay something and gradually give some equity of the company based on the timeline. So whether you're going to cover this, because I think that this could be helpful for many of us in this group.
I don't have a specific topic about this. Of course, I could, as a, let's say, follow up, send an email, send something about this conversation. But of course, I understand that this is part of the deal for, a startup.
Yeah.
This is how you convince people to come on board. But for me, the rule of thumb is be very clear about what you expect. Okay, it's equity, and this means, okay, this percentage now in 1 year, we are going to revise that or something like that. Because what is the real problem that I see? And this is why I'm sharing this with you all. The real problem that I see is people get excited about something that they are being, presented with, but the reality comes. And then there is frustration, there is expectations that were not met, and then maybe the founders put on a position that they don't want to find themselves because they thought, no, it was clear. There was nothing promised here. So I don't want you to be put in the situation. And that's why for me, it's everything that we are talking right now is like before even talking to someone, you have to have those things in place before presenting your company. So you don't get too excited and then you start overpromise, going into places that you shouldn't go, right, because you thought it was a good idea in that moment to get that person on board.
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, don't oversell is definitely like my favorite on this list. I think that's where it should start.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much.
Of course. So now that we took this and we are clear about what we can offer, that we're not overselling, what are the expectations, where to look for people. And that's something that I said in the beginning. Sometimes you're like, should I post on LinkedIn? Should I, should I go on GitHub or something like that? The rule here and the big message is look for people, don't wait them to find you. And then I will go back to Ulises if Ulises is still here.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. So the idea here is that if I could have talked to you before you posted a CTO, I would tell you in the beginning, start talking to people, start to creating a future pipeline of people. So maybe you don't have to post on LinkedIn because this is hard. You don't know who is on LinkedIn. You don't know what to expect from them. You don't know what the expectations are, right? And this is much harder to convince someone to be part of some like a project with you that you don't know, right? So I understand your situation and finding a CTO, as I learned very early with Irina and in my time around the startups, is one of the hardest things to do. And that's why it's so important to start early. And here are, again, just 4 messages for you that I would like to share. If you just hire when you are desperate, you're going to very likely hire someone just because they are there and because you need someone. So you will not have the time to really assess if this person is right for your company. So I hope you are, as founders, already talking to people that you are founder, that you have a company. So what I would like you to do is that you do this not just to sell your product, but also to sell your company to future employees. And it doesn't matter if you're talking to your cousin, say, yes, I'm looking for, maybe soon I will be hiring and I will be looking more or less for these people because you already did the exercise, right? So that's what I would like you to do. Start spreading the seeds, talking to people, let people know that you are looking very soon. And what it's also interesting is that you already have a network here, and maybe, of course, you don't want to cannibalize in the networks of each other, but why not to use this type of networks to, find maybe a colleague of a colleague that can support and be the person, because that's what usually happens. Someone that is connected to you or connected to someone you know is going to be very likely part of your pipeline. But be careful to not only hire friends. And why I'm saying this, and I'm going to now put my D&I hat, so diversity, equity, inclusion hat. It's very common to see that, okay, you have a startup, you have your network close to you, and you have these people who work with you, are very close to them, you decided to found a company, and the 4th hire is a friend of a friend, the 5th hire is a friend of a friend, the 6th hire is a friend of a friend, because it was just easier to do this, right? And then you ended up with people that think like you, that look like you, and maybe that will not challenge you as you want to be challenged, will not bring something new to the table as you need them to do. So be careful with it. This is like let's say the red flag that I want to bring here. Of course, sometimes this is part of the deal, but be careful if you're not just following this because it's the easier path to follow. So use your network, use the founders that you know, use the investors. Many investors can support you in this first hires. So this is something that I would also recommend. Another thing that I think founders don't do, because yes, there's so many things to do, but they're not doing. It's build visibility. You can start very soon being social media, being events, not just for your product, but also for your company, right? And building, for example, community presence to show up and then say, yes, again, I will be hiring soon. If you know someone, contact me on. And one thing, let's say, between us here, you can target potential candidates. So if you know companies that have very qualified candidates that would be great assets to your company, you can go there on LinkedIn if you have a premium account and see who are those people, what are the skills they have. I approach them directly and send a message saying, by the way, I would love to talk to you because I'm building this startup, and maybe you are a good fit for this if you are willing to, jump into this, like, say, adventure. And I know that this last part is maybe the scariest and the weirdest if you're not used to be a recruiter, if you don't do this, this direct contact and reaching out. But I think it's a very interesting exercise also for you to do and to rethink how you are going to attract people to join your company. So this is the message from this slide. And going back to Ulysses, CTOs are so hard, and because it's a lot of responsibility. It's something that maybe they are not willing to stop doing their work to join your work because there's so much instability and uncertainty. So I wouldn't say right now, just not knowing anything about your venture, maybe it's a good call to say, I don't look for a CTO, but I look for an employee instead. So not a founder, but an employee instead. Maybe this is easier to find. So give it a try. And I think it might be something that will surprise you to be faster to find.
Of course. Thank you, Julian. Actually, I have 86 applicants. I'm using like minimum budget on LinkedIn. You just wanted to share with the group that I have increased my followers in a very good number. So that's like a side effect that I wasn't expecting. I believe the company just had visibility with the position posting. And yes, I'll be evaluating whatever I have to do next, because for me it feels like I'm getting married, with this person. So I really want to take
it's a serious commitment.
Yes. I've been in a couple of meetings with potential CTOs, but never really land anything because our vision is not the same. And I came to realize what you're saying right now. So yeah, I'll take it easy on that, and I will evaluate all the candidates as much as I can. Thank you.
Nice. So comments on what I shared. Challenge me if you want as well.
Sorry, but if I can, one more.
Of course.
At this point, what are your thoughts, Julian? What are your thoughts on merging startups and basically merging teams or merging founders if they follow the same route or work in the same category, let's say? So have you ever seen any outcomes of that? Do you believe in such a trust model, and what to basically like look after or look for as like potential gaps or pitfalls at this point?
No, I have never seen, but I can give you the hypothetical, let's say, hypothetical problems that I might see that. Being a founder comes with a certain power of making decisions. Being a founder comes with certain authority. So if the dynamic is I have to just a hypothetical scenario, I have two founders, I have 3 employees in this startup, and then I have this other startup with 1 founder and 3 employees. Let's call it this. And then they decide to merge, as is this your scenario? Will the founder of the other startup that is under number, because here's 2, here's 1, feel comfortable with this situation? Will they have the same authority that the other 2? And now that these 2 employees that talk to just 1 person will have to talk to 3 people now. 50 questions for founders before any founders. Thank you, Ross, for sharing. So for me, it's going to be all about communication, but it's also about a very honest reflection on am I willing to lose a certain type of authority that I had before because I was solo or clustered in my world, when I'm merging. This needs to be clarified. And I have to tell you, because I don't work with power and authority in general, but this is a topic that will very often be on the mediation table, because I also worked as mediator. This is a topic that is being discussed. Who has the authority to make this call in this situation? And this goes on a startup, but this also goes on a corporate. Who makes the last call? Sometimes we think it's a manager, but actually it's another person. So in the reality, so for me, that's why, even though it's a boring exercise to put things on paper and to sit down and talk about things, it will avoid so much stress, many lawsuits in your future. Yes, that's how I would see this.
Yeah, right. Thank you for your thoughts. Yeah.
Anything else? If not, I will then move on. Okay. We are now reaching the building HR that is, as I said in the beginning, my gem. And I will repeat myself a little bit here, but I will try to bring other parts. And this slide is not very, let's say, interesting, maybe as a template, but I brought, as I told you, templates, and I would like to share also for the discussion. So if you were really, really honest with me, not knowing that I work for HR, who here thinks HR is just bureaucratic and is just very work? I don't want to do this. It's just bureaucracy. Yes, I heard you in the beginning. Yes, thank you for the honest. Who else? You can just raise your hand if you don't want to speak. Everyone else thinks HR is super important and loves doing this.
I did so much hiring before, and I love HRs because at some point of time, they saved a lot of time to me working hand in hand on targeting the right candidates. So I cannot put this role aside. So that's just my thought, that you will not avoid it at some point of growth stage of your startup.
So you appreciate them. Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good. So for the ones who maybe don't yet, yes.
I think HR is the most boring thing in the world, most boring work. So we should appreciate them because they are doing the boring stuff for us, and so that we can focus on our business.
Thank you for your honest. How do I pronounce your name correctly?
My name's Selçuk.
Selçuk. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you for the honest. I prefer honest than anything else. So I understand that people think like this, and that's why they avoid looking into this, especially if they become founders. They're like, okay, we don't need HR, we don't need to think about those things. Let it be. But here is the interesting thing that I said I will repeat myself. If expectations are there, if you're reducing the risk that you have for your business, you're going to allow people to do the best work. And that's the idea that I have from HR. If you create the environment to allow people to do their best work, because they don't have to worry if they are going to get their salary, if they are going to get vacation, if they can compensate their hours, if the hiring process is fair, if they don't have to worry about this, they can just focus on the work. And that's the idea of HR. That, as you very nicely said, yes, you do the boring. It's not so boring, I have to say. You take the boring work and you allow people to do what they do best. So here may be some things that I would like you to consider when you are. I already talked about expectations. So who is a founder? Who is an employee? Who has ownership? Who defines success? This is very important. But there's also something that we brought in the beginning about the respect of the employment relationship. What is the deal that you're making with this person? Does this person understand they are employee 40 hours per week, or you're offering another deal and they expected to fulfill this deal? This has to be there. And if you enter an employment relationship, please don't forget this. There is legal background to support this, and there's so many signs and other things that come out of this. So I don't want to be negative. I want to avoid you getting a fine. I want to avoid getting problems. So please be aware of that. Make sure that whatever you're doing, whatever deal you're making and arrangement you're making, it's very clear and legal, especially. The other thing is that when we see, for example, our corporates, there are 120 people in my department, in the human resources department, like crazy, right? But we also have 4,000 employees, and we're working for a group. But you don't need to do all of this. You don't need to hire 5 people to run your HR department. You can start with you yourself as a founder, you can start with very simple things. Building the steps that we're going to talk in a minute, talking about the onboarding, talking about when you're going to have weekly check-ins and this kind of things. So it's about creating the environment that the work can flow through this environment. And from my experience, all HR people I worked with across. Okay, if Irina, you can read the comment, because otherwise I have to change the.
Yeah, I can be the voice, or Ross, if you want to. I mean, if your comment, maybe you will be fine with the voice.
So what I'm writing essentially is like most of the HR people I work with, they were job hoppers, in the sense they would work at the same time for 2-3 companies, miss meetings, or in technical companies, they would fail on vetting technical talent, essentially, obviously, because they're not aware of how to judge them. Maybe their profile looks perfect, but they wouldn't be a good fit. And
that's a bad experience. Yeah,
it's a bad experience, and it has been like a pattern. It's not just 1 or 2. Like the best HR like-ish people I work with, they were like PAs for the CEO. Like a personal assistant that would also oversee the staff, or like kind of be responsible for onboarding, putting people in their position in meetings, connecting them, to the right flows in the company.
That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. You didn't work with me, so you didn't know the best HR. But yeah, it's unfortunately this is the reality that I see. A lot of people hate HR because they're not competent. They don't do this and this. But the good thing is that everyone has an experience, or had an experience, bad or good, right? So you know what you don't want in an HR person. You know what you would like to have. So a person that is reliable, a person, that feels comfortable talking to people, that feels, it's a little bit more up, energetic. I think that's also important to keep the vibe. So all those things are important. But besides all these things about being careful about the decisions and thinking about, I will go back to the one point that I made here also with the other questions, is your first hires will take time. Sometimes maybe you're saying, okay, I'm just hiring this person because, I need someone, but they will shape your culture. And if you're not owning the culture, if you're not taking care who is doing that, this can be a really problematic thing. And I've seen this happening. So I don't wish this to anyone. You have to be very honest and clear about how you want things to run. So please don't rush. Have the things in place so you can make the right choices. So this was let's say the big presentation, and I have 2 other templates that I would like to share with you. But while I do the whole changing screens here, I will open for questions if there are any questions. Did I stop sharing?
Yes, you're not sharing anything, and
Okay.
Ross has a question.
Please.
Not necessarily a question, but I would insist on the 50 questions. Like we did it in another accelerator. If somebody haven't do this, guys, like you should do it. Even if you're working with a friend, someone you trust, someone you work with for years, going through these 50 questions is going to give you clarity both for you, for your founders. And there are some silly questions that maybe in the beginning you'll say like, why do I have to answer what happens if I die? It sounds stupid, but you start thinking about it, you start to addressing these things, and this makes everything much clearer. And then there are things, for example, like in some cases, founders, it may make sense that you say, oh, we're going to split equity equally because we are 2 founders or 3 founders. But if you start going through this questionnaire, you will see that some of the founders might be willing to take more risk, let's say work without pay, get a little bit more equity. Some of them might be like, I just got married or have kids. I need cash to survive and be comfortable with this position. So I can get less equity, more pay, and things like that, even if the work is equal for everyone.
So what I hear these 50 questions do is they go deeper on the things that will not be talked naturally about, right? So you understand deeper interest, values, and positions as well. So that's super nice. Thank you for sharing. Anyone has any relevant thing to share that that could be used for?
I don't know how relevant it is. May I?
Yeah,
because
of course. Please.
From the very beginning, I expected that we will hear it probably later, but I also thought that it could be that it's very niche question, but we never heard about NDA here, right? And I had a question about just, law things and regulatory things, and especially because we are a lot of deep tech companies or health tech companies or whatever that is deeply into the intellectual property rights and so on, and also sometimes very highly regulated. I quite surprised that there are no such thing in first hires, or that we don't talk about this. Maybe it's niche, maybe it's just my perspective, but I'm curious if you could comment on it.
So I think what you're talking about is when I was sharing the graphs, they call this the subject expert. That is where this falls into. For example, when I was doing the research, there was a lot of companies that were touching a lot of regulatory topics. And one of their first hires was a person who could tell them, am I building a project according to the regulations? Can I build this project even? And this was a super important decision for them. So it falls under subject matter. Yeah.
I see. And what about because NDA, it will be, paper which normally HR will give you if you new employee and you come to a company, then you will sign it with HR, right? And my question would be, how should it work with a young company, which basically the whole value into this intellectual property, and it's they exchange very often. They exchange employees, and how should it work when you introduce new people into the some know-hows on whatever? How this part should work?
So if I hear the question right, what I hear is that you're more concerned about the reality than the paper. Is that
as well? Yes.
Yeah. So here, I will speak without too much of a fluff. It's so easy to use knowledge. I can just send an email to myself and then I can get all the information from a company, right? So for me, the most important, let's say, non-disclosure measure is the person character it's a bit crazy, but it's true. It's like, who you hire, can you trust this person that this person will not do this? Do you trust this person is not talking bad about their previous employee, that is not saying, oh yes, I have the templates from my previous employee here, we can all use all of them. Those, for example, would be red flags for me. That's like, okay, I cannot trust this person to keep information safe and not talk about this. Another thing that for me, it can also be very useful when you're interviewing someone, there are certain questions you can ask to understand if this is something that the person feels very strongly about. For example, just in the top of my head, something like, tell me a situation where you were exposed to information that you shouldn't have, and how did you behave? What were your the steps you took with this information? Did you inform your supervisor that you were exposed to the there are certain ways that you can verify, let's call it this, if you could take this person and feel comfortable. But of course, documents are very comfortable, but they don't cover everything. The best, documents only exist because you cannot 100% trust people, and that's the sad reality. And I'm talking also as a previous lawyer. So try to trust people and have the document as a second support.
Yeah. Thank you. If I may follow up, the just short one, because this question, especially because of conflict of interest, right? When you say that there are also such activity for founder as a direct reaching out to specialists to hire, it's just immediately appear. Like, if you write to the company you're not into this yet, but they will be potentially your direct concurrent, and this is clear conflict of interest, right? If you try to hire from them, and how that should work, like,
that's what I said. This is a bit controversial.
Yes.
This is a bit controversial.
Okay.
It happens. We know it happens, right? It's just a reality. I'm not saying go there and do it. I'm saying maybe it's interesting if you look what is there. What are the skills of these people? Maybe you know someone who knows someone that you can have, a conversation. But of course, having a person that is going to be your direct competitor, or that, the company information will be endangered, it's also a motivation for the person to not join your company, for example. So you don't want to enter this. So maybe you do your research, and then you see what are other profiles that look like this that I can't find in other company, something like that. And what I'm telling you, what was the idea was, reach out to this person to have a conversation. Maybe you don't need to sell anything, but you can have still a conversation. Say, oh, it would be interesting to hear from you if you feel comfortable having this conversation with me. But poking some people from their company, this happens because it's allowed for recruiters to do. It's not illegal, right? But be careful who you're poking.
Thank you.
Mark Zuckerberg literally hired the competition.
Yeah. So interesting. I just read the last comment. We have 2 more questions, so maybe we can go through them. Like the first one was, at what stage should we hire an in-house HR?
It depends how much you hate or don't enjoy doing this, because I find it some founders that are really excited and love doing the work, but I have to say they're really biased. They cannot, put certain filters to have a conversation. And it was very valuable to have a third party that was very committed to run a very clean, fair, like simple process. So if you are identifying as a very biased founder, let's call it this, I would highly recommend that you invite a third party that is qualified to do this job for you, even in the very beginning of your journey. But if you feel that, and that's the deal here that I also wanted to share with the template. So maybe I park the rest of the answer, and then I take the next question.
Sure. And also regarding what do you think of the ratio 1 HR hire per 100 employees? Also, you will park it? Like one HR for 100 employees.
Like a recruiter.
No. Like if you grow your company and it's like up to 100, 200, 300, so you need to have one HR, like the ratio.
No, I understood. But is this HR a recruiter solely, or is this HR taking everything HR-wise? I think this makes a very big difference.
I think it's just regarding, like the overall human resources, like not just recruitment, but like full spectrum.
Okay. 1 to 100. It seems little, I have to say. If this person is the whole HR department, if this person is the whole HR department, I would say this person is very lonely, poor person. Yeah. Because to take care of 100 people and make sure that everything is running smoothly, if this person has to take care of payroll, if this person has to take care of team building, if this person has to take care of like everything that HR takes care of, it feels a little bit too little. Yeah.
Okay. I guess,
hi everyone. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Can I ask also the question regarding the recruitment? So basically, should we hire the new recruiter, like the junior HR, to take care of things like hiring and etc., or should we hire the willing HR like specialist?
Look, if you as a founder don't feel comfortable with recruitment processes and HR processes, please don't hire a junior. I know it's cheaper, but don't do that.
Do you believe that like junior HR specialist or like only the recruiter itself can develop into the like HR specialist in a very short time? Because why I'm asking about it, because firstly, when we're trying to build the HR department itself, we hired only the recruiter.
Yeah.
And then we suppose that this recruiter can become the like HR specialist itself, but it doesn't work this way, I guess.
Yeah. Look, that is I'm gonna make a little bit parallel here. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you're a lawyer, take care of this," right? Like I heard that because they think lawyers take care of every single thing legal, but their expertise is within law, right? And HR is very similar. There are people that do recruiting and they're great recruiters and they're going to run recruiters like smoothly, but they cannot take care of other things. They're not interested maybe in taking care of other things that are part, for example, HR department. So I will go back to my initial conversation when I said, what are the expectations? Like, did you work upfront with this person that besides doing recruiting, you expected them to grow? That was the path that this would take. Because if then and they felt actually I don't want to do that, then is another conversation. But if it was just in your understanding of, okay, this recruiter can, of course, become an HR specialist, please don't believe that. People have different interests. People like to do different things. And I know this because I work in a department full of people, and I not everyone wants to be a strategist, for example. That's my role. And some people want to recruit, and that's what they love, and they don't want to do other things as well. So if you want a person that you feel comfortable delegating this whole department to, I think is the easiest thing. Don't hire a junior because this person is still figuring things out. And it's very easy for a junior, let's be honest, to just nod and agree with you instead of taking a stand and saying, no, we are not going to do this because that's not the right thing. So you need someone that will challenge you, that will say, the right thing is this. No, we cannot pay that much. We have to run the contract to a lawyer. You need a person that is going to be a sparring partner and you can trust with these topics. So I would say hire a person that can do that for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. So we have 4 minutes, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Can I share my screen again? Maybe
Yes.
it's interesting enough.
Yes. Yes, please. Yes,
Okay.
please. I think it would be good. Yeah.
So I'm sharing, correct?
Yeah, you're sharing.
So here is the deal. I went very specific. I'm going to share this with you. I just need to find my cursor because, yeah. What I did here is that I created a recruiting profile for a founding engineer. And what is a recruitment profile? It's not a job description. A recruitment profile is where you really sit down and you decide every single thing that is important. And then from there, you build a job description to look for someone. And very quickly, because we don't have time and I want to respect your time, here are like interesting things for you. Job title, who this person will report, what are the deliverables in the next 3 months, what are the deliverables in the next 6 months, 12 months, what are the success metrics? So how I'm going to measure this person is doing a great job or not. This is super relevant. What are the required skills? Forget about 10 years of experience. This says, I'm sorry, almost nothing. Focus on the things that a person can bring to your company. What are the things that the person can learn? We don't have there are unicorns in startups, and there are also unicorns, as we were saying, in recruiting. People want a unicorn, a person that can do everything. This doesn't exist, right? So what are the things that it's okay for you if the person learns in the job? For example, deep knowledge of the company's scientific domain, internal project architecture, and specific technical stack, for example. What are the attitudes and behaviors that the person needs to succeed? As I said, maybe you want to hire a very extroverted HR person because you want the person to make people feel good and have the team spirit, but you don't need this for engineer. Maybe it's okay if the person is a bit grumpy and just wants to be in front of the computer, right? What is the compensation framework? And here is a little bit about the salary and the equity. So there are examples here that I brought. I hope it helps. We cannot discuss, but I hope that helps. Also, language requirements. A lot of people, I work in Austria, and a lot of people think, oh, okay, because you work in Austria, you're going to have to speak German, but this is not the reality. So be very clear about this. What is the work location? What the person can expect? Oh, sorry.
No, don't pay attention.
So here's a recruitment profile that it's a template that you can use that is already filled, but I highly recommend you to use for your hiring or your exercise of who you have to hire. And for example, recruitment process overview. So screening call, what are you going to look? What is the purpose of the screening call? What are the good questions that you might looking into? What are maybe red flags that you want to run away? Technical interviews for CTOs and founders. Yes, questions on architecture, collaboration, what to check, some red flags, some assignments, because it's really important to check if the person can do the job. So everything is here. We don't have more time. As I said, I'm going to share everything. I hope it was interesting. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and you have already some Microsoft Teams showing. So just close the screen. I think that we'll not take any of your time anymore. But thanks a lot for the templates as well. Yes, you have something to finishing it up.
Happy to if you have any questions, you can also ask Irina and she can pass the questions. It was a pleasure. to talk to you. I wish you all the success in the world. Hope you're really doing great things. Have a nice afternoon.
Thanks a bunch.
Thank you so much, Giuliani.
Thank
And
you.
yes, I will take it over. Thank you so much, everyone, for asking questions, being so active. And yeah, this is just the last minute of my time. See you tomorrow on the bonus workshop. So it's optional, non-obligatory on how to be a better CEO. Please leave your feedback for the session today. See you all around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, guys.